Hey, Brickmaniacs, welcome back to another Designer Studio. It's Dylan here in the corner, and that's because I'm being joined by John Canepa for the kickoff of our Remote Designers Studio series. So John has been contracted by Brickmania to work on some prototype models, etc. And we've actually already had quite a few of them in the lineup, but with everything going on and the fact that he's in a location that cannot be disclosed.
Yes.
Uh,
Look over here.
right, we've got some
I've
backup
been
work to do.
I've been mostly hidden from the world because I can't tell you why, but I'm away from the world. Or am I?
Well, either way, it's cool to be able to join you in your little studio. Clearly, you got a pretty cool setup there. How have things been? You know, how's it been since the move out to California, and what's life looking like? Probably significantly less snow.
Significantly less snow. It does get hot here during the summers. Right now, when I moved out to Minnesota originally, people were like, oh, from California, you crazy? How are you doing with the cold and blah 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 blah. We're human. We adapt rather easily to climate unless it's super severe, right? Either super cold, which Minnesota can get quite cold. And here it can get like 112, 120 degrees.
Ooh.
So, you adapt by not going outside. In the winter, you leave the heater on. In the summer, put the air conditioner on. Moving is always a pain, but for me personally, I'm closer to my relatives out here.
Sure.
More familiar with California. More of my friends are out here, so we're doing okay. It was hard to go from my giant basement, which I had just about all my Lego sets and all the stuff I've collected, the modular buildings, my Western sets, Star Wars, hanging from track lighting and all over the room. It was around a large room, 20 by 30 or something like that. It was big. To a 10 by 10 room where I can display a few things. I have a few things up on my walls here, but nothing like what I had in Minnesota. Basements are nice.
Yeah, I can understand that'd be a big adjustment.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of like, well, okay, so if I can't display it, what am I going to do with all this stuff? Well, we'll see. That's the way it goes. Life changes.
So not only did you have to downsize your area for your Lego stuff to be displayed, but then you decided to get back in the game and start building even more Lego, which we can see a little bit of which already displayed in front of you. Like, you're going to be way out of space before you know it.
Well, yeah, I mean, this is my workspace for whatever I'm working on. I run a small business out of the house, not Lego related, although we do sell some Lego sets. Not custom, just regular Lego sets. So this is my business office and my work office and my display room. This is it. So houses, yeah, right, yeah, exactly.
Wearing a lot of hats.
Well, yeah, the house is not tiny, but they put so much space into the attic, like it could be another floor up there. It's just it's like, let's use this as an example. It's like this plane, so many struts going around, I can't fit myself in here anymore. Yeah, the attic space is huge, but it's all struts, so I can't go up there and dance like I'd like.
There's no Footloose 2 starring John Canepa on the way. That's really disappointing to hear.
Unless you want my legs dropping through the ceiling in different spots.
A little bit different take on it for sure. Well, okay, so let's dive into some of the stuff. I'm not even 100% sure what the first model you did returning for Brickmania was. Do you remember?
So the Striker, we already had a bunch of versions for the people to build for the Striker. There was add-ons, right? Then Dan decided that he wanted to incorporate everything into one large kit and add one more. I guess it was one more version that you could make, basically. So it was a few changes to the overall chassis, but mostly it was just a turret that plunks on top. There was some differences in the top here that I had to change. These little these little radar lights, or I can't remember what the hell they are. I think they're sensors.
Sure.
To basically, identify the target. and then it's got a machine gun on it, and it's got a cannon, and it's got these missiles and those missiles. I don't remember all the names of everything, but that's the first one I did, which I ended up doing the entire, because I had, done this before. I did the entire conversion from separate kits to one long, large, where you can make the base model or you can make all the different variants.
Right. As I recall, that kit is actually an 8-in-1 kit where you can
8-in-1.
build
That's
8 different versions of it, which if you're one of those people that really like to take apart your models and rebuild them again, or you just can't let it sit on the shelf built for too terribly long, like what a great kit to have, because you just pretty much never run out of options.
Well, and the fact that this one, because, most of the, I would say most of the modern military vehicles don't have a lot of writing on them or printing,
Sure.
right? At least American stuff. So you could actually acquire the parts and make all 8 versions if you wanted. You just have to acquire all the parts for it. So
Yeah, right, to be able to build the base variants to go with it, because all the parts obviously you need to do the upgrades are there. But yeah, that's pretty cool. That'd be
yeah,
fun to have
the instructions to make whatever you want to make if you want to make a whole army of strikers. So, but yeah, that was the first one, and then it was a series of this is the staff car, as we were just
Right.
talking about earlier. I have different levels of build here. Different what's the right word for it? I can't think of what the right word is for it, but we have 0% build. There's 0% right here. I haven't built any of this staff car, the World War II Army staff car. I really love the minifigures in here. I can't wait to get my paws on those minifigures.
Yeah, it is. It's definitely one of those kits that complements both of them very, very well.
Yeah, and it's what's interesting, and somebody was talking about this on a program I was watching. It's not necessarily that this was a military vehicle and it carted around generals. It's the story about, and you can get into these two characters, what the story was about them, which makes history a lot more interesting. We're not just talking about, well, it had a V8 engine and it had these tires, or it had that star, but actually who drove in it, what was it used for, what happened, was something interesting that happened. That makes it really, really fun.
No, absolutely. There definitely is kind of like the next level to that building experience, is to be able to put something together, enjoy it, use it to create a mock, etc. But then when you get to dive into how, where it was used, who was in it, what
Right.
exactly was the role that this specifically played, because often in the past, I know you guys have done this as designers before, you choose specific things for a reason, and a lot of it has to do with the research that you guys do working up to
Right.
building your kits, and that's a really cool thing to pass on to the people who get to build it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this particular staff car, I mean, if you look up World War II US staff car, there's like 8 different models, and this general drove in this one and that general drove in that one. I imagine he drove in this one, but he had I want to say it was a Cadillac that he drove in most of the time, it was just a weird looking vehicle. This is more of like what people expect. The one that drove up, I think, in Saving Private Ryan to the mother's house to tell her the bad news. This is what you imagine it should look like. So there's, I mean, if you wanted to you could do a whole series of World War II US staff cars if you want, Packards and Cadillacs and Fords and whatever. So yeah, it's so that one, and of course we did the Dan. I think Cody made some changes to this one. Dan took the little scout plane, the World War II US scout plane. That was one of the first ones that I had built.
Yeah, that's right. And that one is another model with a really cool story behind it.
Yeah, so the one I built was pretty generic. I didn't put the windows on top, so he decided to take that and make it into that one with the bazookas attached, right? With the invasion stripes, if I remember right. Yeah. So that's kind of, I mean, that's when I used to talk when I was working there at the Brickmania headquarters, and I would talk about building these kits in the office. Of course, you get a lot of collaboration. So of course, I don't have my virtual Dan behind me, or or a Zoom call with Cody every hour on the hour. So what's kind of interesting is that it goes to you guys, and then well, that's not quite exactly what we wanted to do for this particular kit, so let me make some changes.
Right.
Same with the all these windows, actual windows on the storage. I never think about putting in windows because I think it's going to be too hard
Mm-hmm.
because of the shapes. And like, no, wait a minute, clear panels were perfect for this space. And pretty much the structure for those panels was already pretty much there.
Right.
So it didn't click. That's when the collaboration comes in handy. If I was back at Brickmania headquarters, somebody might have walked by and go, hey, why don't you put in blah, blah, blah?
Mm-hmm.
Because you literally can't think of everything when you're doing these things. That's not how, that's not how the best sort of inventions come about or modifications is group effort,
Right. Multiple people working towards kind of a singular vision and all working with each other's talents to be able to bring that come to fruition. And I think that is definitely, it is kind of new territory in the era of social distancing, doing something even like what we're doing here,
Right.
but then trying to do that while coordinating a prototype model. I'm sure there's plenty of kinks in the road for the design team, but it is definitely a groundbreaking aspect that you guys have undertaken because, obviously there isn't very much similar to Brickmania in the custom Lego community, and this kind of new initiative is also something that is pretty new.
Right. Yeah. I mean, when I was still in Minnesota, I started doing the contract work for Brickmania, which was, I think, good for you guys because it's impossible to create as many sets as you need without enough people to do them. Right. I mean, it's just not physically enough hours in the day, especially when you have other things you have to do. So having, a network of people like we were talking about being able to do these sets, it's great for me because I get the fun of building prototypes again, and I get paid to do it. So that's a win-win as far as I'm concerned. And then of course you guys have the ability to say, hey, we're working with these designers, which makes Brickmania that much larger, of a not necessarily of a company, but larger in people's minds as far as the global aspect of Brickmania. I mean, you can have literally people building kits for Brickmania 24 hours a day because other countries are not on the same time schedule that we are. So
just keep it ticking around the clock. Well, and you guys definitely didn't slow down with your undertakings. I mean, I know they kind of like worked you in a little bit when it came to the staff cars, et cetera. But then once the mystery crates hit, I mean, there was a lot going on from your standpoint. So why don't we walk through a little bit just some of those builds that were included with the 2020 mystery crates, because those were pretty crazy as well.
Right. Yeah. They. I mean, the starting with the Rommel staff car, which again kind of goes with the storage because there's a picture I found where there's the staff car is right next to the storage, and it looks like Rommel's getting out and into the staff, basically into the staff car, or more or less. So
sure.
Yeah, you're gonna land the plane. Well, what's Rommel gonna do? Walk? I mean, come on, it's Rommel. There's no segways, right, to go from the plane to his headquarters. So anyway, so they pick him up in a nice little car. There was a fun little build. Pretty straightforward. It's always challenging to get certain things to fit, and I wanted to. What I've tried to do over the years as I build more and more. In fact, as I'm going over the instructions for this other kit, which we'll talk about in a second, is learn from what I've done in the past, and think ahead. So if I'm thinking, well, this particular area of the vehicle really needs a part that you can print on because there's a really cool, Africa core, the little palm tree thing that needs to be there.
Mm-hmm.
So make sure that you don't put something there that's going to be hard to print on. So those kind of things come into mind when you're building. Of course, you also, here we used a panel just because if he puts his arm down, he has room actually to put his arm down. If you put a brick there, well, his arm can only go so far because the brick's going to stop it. So
yeah, and he's sitting like this. Yeah.
So even though it's a fairly simple build, you do think ahead and make sure that you're not going to get yourself into hot water. by doing something that's not going to work as far as the finishing part of it. Also, one of my favorite things was doing these little rear view mirrors, which was it's. And I was going to mention, I was thinking about that when we talked about doing these talks, is how important brick arms, monopod, and U-clips are to my builds. There's other parts like the I call it the little tennis racket. It's do I have one sitting out? I think I put them all away. Or it's I can just pull one off the bottom of this thing.
You're talking about the actual Lego element?
I call it a tennis racket. It's just this little round plate with a bar on it.
Mm-hmm.
I must have used, I don't know how many I used in that new thing I'm building, maybe 20. I used it for everything. It's so handy to use. I could write probably a whole book about that particular part and how the different ways you could use it. But yeah, so we use that here, which allows the, since I don't want to come up from below because there's nowhere to come up from below, I can come up from the side with a little bar, which I can attach the windshield to, and attach these lovely little rear headlights, which have a real round mirror on them. So.
Well, and I'll say the entire front of that staff car, just the different angles that are packed into that, and then just the old timey look that it has, obviously pertinent for the time, but it's just like, it's a really cool looking piece, one that you can definitely just kind of stare at for a while and be like, look at how that comes together. That's just awesome.
Well, yeah, and you've seen it in movies too. You've seen this kind of staff car in Indiana Jones movies, for example. So, and yeah, you're right. It's the sloped front. It's the I think you talked about it a little bit when you talked about. I do watch the sit reps, by the way.
I'm glad to hear it.
This engine compartment here, it has a very rounded, pointy, bulbous kind of shape. So how do you do that with square things, So, I mean, of course, there's some angled pieces here, but it's tough because Lego doesn't make every single part that you need. So you have to sort of, I call it implying. I'm going to imply this look by using these parts, because if you squint your eyes, you can kind of see that that's the shape that actually that vehicle actually has on its hood. So.
Well, and it's definitely a difficult undertaking in the scale of it all too, because when you think about it, if you're working with a big model, something that's large, and you need some time to make it look round, you have more surface area just to build it those round curves. But when you're taking on a staff car that teeny, I mean, you got one element to choose, man. What's it going to be?
Right. And speaking, I mean, they even get them smaller. This is the one that Dan did in the larger mystery crate with the storage. I really love the colors. I mean, I think I was mentioning this to you last time, that I had this Tamiya. I used to build Tamiya models when I was a kid. Tamiya, everybody pronounces it. I don't know. I'm sure there's a correct pronunciation, but I don't know what that is. So I call it Tamiya. Anyways, building a lot of models, I'd open up the brochure, and there would always be this one. It was a large desert vehicle, Africa. In Africa, it was used by the British. I don't know what the name. Sure, Dan would go, well, that's I don't have that kind of memory for vehicles.
Encyclopedic knowledge. Yeah, I know what you mean.
But it was the larger version of this basically for the desert, rounded front, and I remember seeing that. It's like, that's the weirdest looking thing. But now, as I've gotten older, and I see a vehicle actually made like that. I've never actually built one like that. Pink and blue and all that. I think probably if I would have gotten the instructions to paint it pink and blue, I would just painted it tan or gray or something like that when I was younger. But this is really fun. I mean, people love getting that.
It's one of those pieces that stands out as being super unique, because if someone is like, why did you put pink on the Jeep? You have an opportunity to explain the low light camo. And you can even now, at the age of technology, you can even pull up an image on your phone and look at it. You know what I mean? And then it's just kind of like one of those models that very, very, very few people have, like everything in the mystery crates.
Yeah, no, and very unique. Nice printing on it. The little rhinos and the diamonds. The characters are great. I think my cat's trying to get in. And then, of course, when I had originally built this one, you can see some similarities. to the model. Anyway, that's my prototype.
Like
And
I
then,
said, running out of space.
huh?
Like I said, you're running out of space. 2 of every model.
Yeah, well, right. I decided because they are very close in design, and the only difference really is a couple of printed pieces on here. I wouldn't take this one apart, my original prototype. But other like the Storch original one, I mean, there was like 7 different colors of tiles on top because
Sure.
I didn't have enough at the time. And then once I sort of got them in, I really didn't need to finish it because when I do it in the computer, I can just put whatever color I want. I don't have to worry. But I did build this right from the kits you guys sent me, and it is rather nice. What's funny about this particular kit is, and I started wondering, it's like when they designed this on a blueprint, back in Germany or wherever the hell they designed it, did they consider they needed all these supports? Or is that something that comes about when they're actually putting it together and go, oh, it's too heavy here?
Mm-hmm.
I imagine because people are rather intelligent that are engineers, they probably incorporated all of this into the design. So when you're duplicating this, now what I did on the scout plane, I kind of I took a shortcut and only put like 1 set of struts. I noticed Dan put the extra set in, so he finished it off, which I'm kind of glad because it makes it more accurate.
Mm-hmm.
In this particular case, I figured I better not go skimpy on the struts because it's going to need every single thing. And I think when I was telling you before, it's like when I was building it and one of the struts would come undone and the wings were drooping, I'm like, oh no, I thought I had it. I thought I had it straight and it's drooping. As soon as I reattached all those struts, boom, it's back to being level. I was very happy about the fact that I could get this thing pretty much straight across without any droop. I did add a couple extra parts, I was telling you, just because it's a kind of annoying while you're building that the wings will droop a little,
Right.
because you're moving stuff around, you're attaching stuff, so vibrations, you don't really need those once it's all built. But I did put a couple of parts in there, which I've kind of left just because if I want to handle it a lot, I don't have to worry about. I'm kind of clumsy, so.
I think that's one of the highest praises I have for that model is just that when you look at it, initially, sometimes you question with planes like that, oh, is that something that you can really fly around and have fun with, or is it more of a display piece? That thing looks like it's super fragile, but it is not. You can land it, you can fly it around. I mean, it is a pretty solid build, especially like you said, once you have all those struts together, it's a pretty fun plane to just swoosh around.
Yeah, it is swooshable for sure. And, sometimes my problem could have been simply that a couple of parts I had have loose grip, that does happen. Unfortunately, some Lego parts, either they're old that I used in there, or you get a batch in that's just a hair kind of off. But that luckily doesn't happen very often. But I can't remember. It's not grip. It's called
Clutch.
Clutch. Thank you. Clutch boundary, right? Yeah, that's the word for it.
So is then the last one the most recent? Well, there's the AAV7, but that one we don't have to yet. But the most recent one that you have in hand, is that the Beast that you're working on right now?
Well, the Beast I'm working on. I've got that about 65% done. So you saw some 100%, some 0%. This is about 65% done. I noticed probably one of the guns that. So the guns that are in this kit, for the most part, are the actual weapons that they use. The Secret Service uses. So, for example, I can't remember what the hell it's called anymore, but these little tiny little guns here. See if anybody can see that. It's kind of tiny, but those are actual weapons. So when I meow 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 meow, all my guns have a meow sound. We have 5 cats. They're all basically found. Basically, and we didn't go out and go cat shopping.
Right.
One of them came with this house.
Oh.
So. But anyways, most of the weapons in here, I noticed probably one of the weapons that you probably couldn't get a hold of in quantity was replaced with a M1 Thompson, which is very fun. Why not? Why couldn't the Secret Service some old timers like, oh, I don't use those modern fancy weapons. I use my old Thompson that I used back in WW2.
There's definitely a story there. I agree.
Yeah, and the real vehicle, it's probably very hard to see in this picture, but inside the actual front doors, there would be a fake panel that would come out, and there would be a shotgun inside the actual door. Now I couldn't fit a shotgun inside the door, so I was just about to attach these the little whatever weapon this is, the M9 or whatever they use. I can't remember what it is exactly, but that's how it goes there. If you can see that, the
cool
right in the door. So we couldn't do shotguns because shotgun was too big. So we put that there. So the driver has a weapon ready because, as you know, the Secret Service is there to protect the president. And unfortunately, they're not throwing tomatoes at the president. If they're really unhappy with him, they might throw something wet.
Yeah, right.
So you have to be able to return the favor, so to speak. So yeah, that was a really fun kit. I mean, I see the little representations of our current president and vice president. I believe that's what they're supposed to be. And then, of course, you got the Secret Service agent, which I already made him talking into his cufflink. But you're right. They're always, I don't know if they still do that, if that's still a thing.
Who cares? That's awesome.
But anyway, so yeah, we're building the presidential limo. Again, I haven't built the staff car. I'll build that one. I get around to that eventually. And the other one that you mentioned was the AAV, where I had built it all in gray. In fact, I still have the frame here for that guy. Oops. I had the frame here for that guy. I thought, well, all the pictures I saw, the one that is supposed to be assigned to the like the Macon Island, it's got a camo cover, and then it's got the sides of it have the extra armor that has all the jagged panels, right? But I noticed that for probably what you guys needed for the desert
bricks,
desert bricks, is a tan version, and of course you simplified it by doing flat sides. So there's another version of the collaboration we were talking about, which I believe Mary, her and I will share titles on the kit, I imagine, because Dan's been. I told him I really didn't have to have my name on there, but I think for, like we were talking about before, for making Brickmania from a I guess a public relations point of view, the fact that he has these collaborations with other people, I think is probably the fans probably enjoy that.
Yeah, so, I think so too.
So I appreciate him putting my name on the box. I told him it really wasn't necessary, but I think that kind of personal touch. So there's, again, just a small story, because this is not just a Brickmania kit, but it had this particular designer's influence. So, or, multiple designers' influence, because you gotta share the praise, right?
Yeah. Well, I think a big part of it too is, it's part of the same reason why we do these kind of videos, is just because, when you make the investment to get into a hobby like Brickmania, and you purchase a Brickmania kit, it's not just like buying a regular Lego kit. People want to know more about what they've purchased, etc. And so they want to be able to hear from the designers. They want to see the people who put it together, who put in the work to make this happen. And I think that is definitely part of the process, and a big reason why we do this stuff.
Well, yeah, I mean, and if you look at, I think you were talking about this too. I just saw the sit rep where you're talking about the vault. They're talking about the printing on here, which, honestly, I mean, now that I know the reason we did the stickers before was to try to control the cost a bit, but the customer probably doesn't mind paying a few extra bucks, because I remember a lot of the comments were like, "Oh, these stickers, blah 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 blah." Frankly, stickers are a pain. So the fact that everything's here is printed is really fantastic, and the fact that we can do, Lego was nice enough to make a reverse tile, right, with or whatever you want to call it, plate with the tile on the bottom. which allows us to do it makes it so much nicer to have that detail that you can print not super easily. I mean, I imagine a lot of people don't really know how difficult it is to actually print 4 tiles that will all meet and make it look like it was actually printed once. It's not easy.
No, it is not. Slam and the rest of the gang will attest to that, and so will Landon. I mean, he's been trying to do it on minifig waistlines for years now.
Yeah, it is tough, and the fact that Brickmania has so much success means the people that are working in those areas, Slam and Ryan back there, um, they've honed their craft, because I used to do this myself by myself, and it's tough. And I would have some success, but I have some where it's like, the face is a little too high on the head, so it looks really weird, or too low, or the belt lines don't meet all the way around. Anyway, horror stories.
Yeah, it's definitely a challenge and a process, that's for sure. But
Yeah.
it's definitely cool to see some of the stuff that you're bringing to the table here, and the various models that you've already been able to roll out. It'll be exciting to be able to check in with that AA7A AAV7A1. Boy, I always get that one mixed up. But that'll be fun to see what we have in the future, especially with the modern camo version of it potentially in the pipeline.
Yeah, that one, I mean, looks wise, the tan one's nice, but the one with the camo with the dark green and black, and I think it was reddish brown,
Mhm.
it was really striking. Not the striker, striking.
Yeah, right. Definitely gives us plenty to work to look forward to in the future. Anything else you want to cover here before we wrap this up?
No, no, it's I appreciate being able to be part of the Brickmania team. I can do it from California, which is sort of what him and I had talked about originally before I even came out there. It's like, we'll come out for a year and then go back to California. So I was there for about 2.5 years, and here I am doing what I like to do. It is fun, especially I mean, I don't know if I should show you what's in this tray here. It's rather.
Go for it.
You can see the top of it right there. There's a hint on top of here, and there's a hint. Oh, my computer. Oh God. Well, you can't see. I don't know if you can even see back. Can you see back? Oh, forget that. Anyways, this is probably besides like the little xenomorphs I had done, this is probably the smallest vehicle as far as 1/35th scale. Probably
Sure.
the smallest vehicle I've done, volume wise. So again, the parts that come in handy are those little tennis rackets, these little T connections for the pneumatic, the 1x1 rounds with the hole.
Right.
Set up parts that, luckily, it seems like the one thing I'll say before we go is, and this is kind of a geeky thing about Lego parts, is you start using a part and you thought, I don't know how I ever lived without this part. First of all, it was, like I said, the Brick Arms monopod and the U-clip. And then it comes to these tiny little things that Lego has created. It's a 1x1 tile with a little bar sticking up.
Mhm.
That little round piece, and actually you can see it in the back of the limo, the gray one there. That piece has become invaluable. So thank you, Lego. Time to thank Lego. Oh, and first of all, just remember, you don't know where I am. Even though there might be something behind me that has kind of a thing about where I might be.
And we talked about moving back to California.
California, I really don't know I'm in California. I want to make that clear.
Your secret is safe with us and everyone who views this video.
But Lego, I can only complain about Lego so much, because without Lego, there would be none of this, correct? Right? So, gotta thank Lego. Gotta thank Brick Arms. We'll thank Brickmania first. Everybody that watches this video and buys Brickmania kits should thank Brickmania. Not every day, but once in a while.
Every once in a while, sure.
Distance. Thank Brick Arms for first of all making all these cool weapons and the little itty bitty monopods and U-clips that we use. And then of course we have to thank Lego, because without Lego, we wouldn't be talking right now. I'd be here with an empty desk, and people would, why are we watching this? There's an empty desk and they're not talking about anything. They're just okay. Enough of that.
we'd be hoping there'd be something to fill the void that Lego left.
The void that Lego that we never knew existed left. Yeah.
Right.
Anyway, kind of weird.
All right, John. Well, it was good to see you and catch up. Excited to see what comes in the future. This has been our first Remote Designers Studio. It'll be one of many to come. Thank you so much for joining me, and thank you very much for watching.